All right, welcome. It's great to have you back here. Always great to have you back. And look at who's joining me now in studio. At least a cardboard cutout. My man Ike sent me an Ike, so we got an Ike hanging out now officially, which means the logo like this. It goes right over his head. Look at that. Look at that. If you're joining us on the podcast, you probably should watch the YouTube channel as well. But I love that the Ike's head covers up Ike's head. That's fantastic. Look at this. Now, I know in San Francisco, the first thing they tell you to do is play with your sponsor's nipples. So, I actually rehearsed this, by the way. I rehearsed that to get that right. Woo! Honk, 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 honk. Yeah. Yeah, welcome to the possibility of sponsorship and sexual harassment here on the Damon Brew Show. Ike, thank you as always. Let's just get it, business right out of the way. We're going to cover up Ike to tell you that I was drinking some blackened whiskey with my boy GQ. Came over for a little dinner, drinking some blackened cask conditioned. Woo, that is spicy. And we were enjoying that. And I'm here to tell you that today is going to be a hell of a day because we got ping pong balls a-bouncing. We got ourselves a little Giants baseball to kind of evaluate where they are in the year. Bad news for Oakland, but if there's one thing we all know is that John Fisher can fuck up anything, so it's not the end of the story, but it looks like some property has officially been secured, but no public funding is yet. And we'll get to all of that in a second. But I want to start with you today before we hop into the chat and start looking around. I know a lot of people were there early today talking about the playlists from the old show on 680 and 1050 and 95.7 that they listen to as they're getting ready to sit down and watch us here on the Damon Brew Show on the Plus, baby. And I'm telling you, Jillian ordered a new sign over here, so this is going to be fixed soon. I do believe there's a new camera in the works, so a lot is happening. We're not even 2 months in, and so much is happening. But look at the way media is changing, and yesterday the NFL proved once again that the world that you used to know will not be the world that you're going to get to know coming up real soon. For the first time ever, we're going to see a wild card game go to a streaming service. That is, essentially a paywall. A wild card game is going to be on Peacock. And it's only a matter of time. This is a segment that Ray Ratto and I did not even, 4 or 5 months ago on the air when I said, in your lifetime, the Super Bowl is going to go behind a pay-per-view wall. It's absolutely going to happen. When the NFL owners show you what the priority is, and the priority is wringing every single possible dollar out of every single quarter of football that they offer, it being offered to you for free is going to be a thing of the past eventually. It's not going to happen immediately, but in the next, media agreement that the NFL sits down to make, and they're in a brand new media agreement with a brand new media company almost every single time we look. So the NFL signed a deal that gives Peacock the exclusive rights to a wild card playoff game next year. One game. They spent $110 million for one game. $110 million. Joe Pamplano, who's a very good sports business guy, great follow, he says, for context, Apple is paying $250 million annually for the exclusive rights to more than 1,000 MLS games. But Peacock is going to pay $110 million for 4 hours of football. 4 hours. That's it. 4 quarters. $110 million. And that is why the NFL is King. King. For those who want to say, well, the Super Bowl, they'll never do that with the Super Bowl. They're always going to, that's such a big major TV event. They're always going to want to go ahead and put that on the network. Look, it's really as simple as this. The minute putting the Super Bowl behind a pay-per-view wall means that is the right business decision for football to make, they'll make that decision. Your viewing habits, your desire to have that game remain free won't matter nearly as much to them as the money. I mean, the money is all that matters in the NFL. And my buddy Dan texted me yesterday. He's like, so it would totally suck to put the Super Bowl behind a pay-per-view wall, but at least it would mean no commercials. What are you, nuts? They're going to sell. Why would they chop off a revenue stream while they're adding a revenue stream? There will be commercials in a pay-per-view Super Bowl. I frickin' promise you. So it's not going to end. The ability to generate money from every millisecond of football is now the main goal of the NFL. And if you don't believe me, look at how many services you have to have right now just to watch your favorite team, right? So if you're a 49ers fan, here's what you need. You need access to CBS, Fox, NBC, ESPN, ABC, Amazon, NFL Network. I guess this doesn't apply for the Niners, but I think one of those international games is going to be shown exclusively on ESPN Plus, ESPN Plus. You need Peacock Plus, and you are now, if you want direct ticket, if you want the Sunday ticket, you're going to have YouTube TV as well. I mean, they are putting it in so many different places. The amount of subscriptions and things that you have to sign up for, it's never going to end. It will never be less things to sign up for if you want to watch the entirety of a team season. So that's the new reality we're marching into. And again, I guess I'm part of that new reality, right? We're watching old media die, radio, linear television, right in front of our eyes. I heard that for the first time ever, YouTube has now been streamed more on televisions than actual computers. The number of videos watched by people for the first time like ever. And that happened a couple of months ago. So just welcome to the new world, kids. There is certainly one out there for you. Again, welcome to Ike, our friends at Blackened. It's good to have you here. It's great to have all of you here. The chat is absolutely popping early on. Otis Bird III checking in early. Look at the Drew Down said that peacock is just out here peacocking. It sure is. It sure is. Otis, he's like, I really like that cardboard cutout of Ike's. So here's the great thing. What Ike doesn't realize is how decorated this thing's going to become. I mean, we're going to put some feather boas on it, maybe put a jacket on it. We're going to, maybe a zipper mask. We're going to get kinky with this thing. I'm not going to lie. It's going to be great. And I know Ike's going to love every second of it because that's just the way he gets down. Talking about the new world that we're living in. These are just facts, Damon. Indeed. We got facts for you over here. How about this? Eric Johnson earlier today. I made a playlist of old sports phone and 1050 bumper music from the old days. A lot of Isaac Hayes, funky as all get out. Hell yeah. Stacy checking in this morning. She got here early. She said she's ready for the word. Well, church, priest, tabernacle, on all that, Stacy. Thank you so very, very much. It means the world to me that you guys think that much of us to get over here and hang out. It really means the world to me and Jillian. It's why it's why there isn't a for sale sign on our lawn this morning. So thank you all very, very much. Today is a big day in sports. If you like basketball, some significant developments are absolutely happening. Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. That is tonight. Oh my God, let me get the ticker up here, ready to go. Boom! Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals indeed coming up tonight. Lakers and Nuggets. And look, the Lakers, they got a mission. They're just looking to split in Denver, take game 1 or 2, take home court advantage away from Denver. That should be a fascinating series. I think it's going to be tougher than a lot of people. I mean, everyone is picking the Nuggets. I mean, I just watched enough Lakers to know that they got a little something going on. So look out. I want a 7-game series. I want a 7-game series in the Eastern Conference Finals as well. That's going to begin on Wednesday. More news from the NBA, and we'll get to the draft and to the ping pong balls bouncing. But Monty Williams out in Phoenix, that already happened. Today, Doc Rivers out in Philadelphia I'm surprised they let him twist in the wind all day on Monday. I knew he was going to get fired. And really, Doc Rivers, definitely a likable guy. 16 consecutive winning seasons. I mean, his teams don't lose, but boy, do they come up short all the time. And who has done less with more future Hall of Famers on his roster than that guy? And when I say who's done less, I'm not even talking about title counts. I'm talking about finals appearances. I'm talking about conference finals appearances. Doc is forever bowing out in the semis. All of his teams, all the time. So it happened 3 years in a row now with the Sixers. Like to officially congratulate James Harden on getting yet another coach fired. I guess Kevin Durant officially has now gotten another coach fired. Mike Budenholzer, by the way, was the first coach to be let go in this postseason. He got fired in the postseason. Nick Nurse, he got his right when the play-in game ended, so he doesn't qualify for firing in the postseason, but he also got fired. And I'm going to tell you right now, if I were looking to hire a coach in the NBA, I think I'd call Nick Nurse before I called any of those guys. The NBA draft lottery is tonight. The Victor Wembanyama draft lottery is tonight. The 7'4" Frenchman is the single most enticing prospect the NBA has had since exactly 20 years ago when LeBron James was the belle of the ball of his draft class in 2003. Here we are in 2023 now, and Victor Wembanyama, you can make a lot of skinny jokes. There are plenty of skinny Wembanyama jokes to make, but this is a 7'4" center who has legit handles. Like, he's a center who can play like a guard. There's never quite been a skill set that this guy has packaged in his size in the history of the planet. I mean, he is in a group of 101. For the French elite team that he's playing for, he's leading all players in the league with 22 points per game, 10 rebounds, 3 blocks. He's rail thin, but again, there has never been a prospect who has his skill set at his height. If he stood next to Kevin Durant, who, let's face it, there was never a prospect like Kevin Durant when Durant came out of Texas. There was never a guy who was like a legit 6'11", 6'10". However, Durant always lied about how tall he was because he never wanted to be played in the front court, just exclusively like a center or a power forward. It's amazing what this guy can do. He's a legit 5 inches taller than Kevin Durant. The Pistons, the Rockets, and the Spurs all have a 14% chance. Pardon me, the cough that never goes away. It lingers. Pistons, Rocket, and Spurs all have a 14% chance at landing the number 1 overall pick. The Hornets are the 4th best percentage with 12.5%. The Blazers are coming in at 10.5%. Honestly, there's a part of me that would love to see him land with the Blazers only because, screw the Pistons and, the Spurs have had their time in the sun, although it would keep Greg Popovich in the league for another 5-6 years, I bet you, if he landed that draft pick. The Rockets, it's just hard to root for the Rockets at all times. It really is, especially if James Harden's going back there. The Hornets would mean he's out of sight, out of mind. I wouldn't mind if he landed up on the Blazers, only because that would mean the Warriors would see him, 3-4 times a year. It would be fascinating to watch that guy play. A lot of West Coast time zone games that fit perfectly into my life anyways. And it would be great to see Damian Lillard actually get paired with someone who, who's got, a little bit more hope to delivering something special than, say, like Jeremy Grant. So I think it would be interesting if he ended up with the Portland Trail Blazers, but again, they have the 5th best percentage of getting him. The single-digit chances, ranging from 9.5% all the way down to 0.5%, are the Magic, don't want to end up there, Pacers, good for Indiana if they could get him. Wizards, no thank you. Jazz, no thank you. Mavericks, again, it would be interesting to see him paired with Luka. Would Kyrie stick around after that? The Magic, again, because they have a pick that they got from the Chicago Bulls that is now lottery unprotected. The Thunder, the Raptors, and New Orleans is sitting there at a 0.5% with a chance to have Victor Wembanyama. I don't want to see the Orlando Magic land him. Because, again, you'd never see him. You'd never say, how often do you really want to watch the Orlando Magic? The answer is not very much. Utah, yawn. Sorry, Utah. It's just the way it is. We all know it. But it's going to be fascinating to see how this, lottery shakes out. It is going to be a franchise-changing moment for one of these franchises who land Victor Wembanyama tonight. So, again, tonight, Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. Wednesday night will be Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. We got Heat and Celtics there. So, a very interesting Final Four, all things considered, in the NBA. It's a shame that the Warriors aren't a part of it, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. And for the first time in a long time, we're really not talking about the Warriors here on the show. We'll get back to them, of course. There's a rampant amount of interest in the Golden State Warriors and what Bob Myers does and what this team does in the offseason. It's going to be fascinating, but we've been talking about them so much, we can sort of move them to the back burner. That's what happens when you get eliminated from the playoffs. And the pan that now comes to the front burner, because I was watching last night, by the way, also saw the Dallas Stars eliminate the Kraken last night. I was watching some hockey. That was fun. The NBA was dark last night, so there were other things going on the TV. Again, had my buddy GQ over here. We're sipping whiskey. We're regaling each other with stories and watching sports and watching the Giants a little bit. And I wanted to talk about the San Francisco Giants and kind of update you, if you haven't been paying much attention, as to where they are and what we're officially looking at here. And I only want to look at this year through the prism of Farhan's big offseason decisions. And look, we're not going to include any of the rookies. We're not. We're not going to just talk about, Casey Schmidt, who's off to a really fun start. And, maybe Farhan's finally got something coming through his pipeline for the first time in 6 years. But I don't want to talk about Casey Schmidt because he's played 7 games. Brett Wisely, 21 games, he's hitting 154. It's too early to say what he is or isn't, but it's not a great start. Blake Sable's out there. He's hitting like 256, but he makes a ton of mistakes behind the plate. But they're all rookies, and, at least they're getting some opportunities, which, normally a rookie makes his debut with the San Francisco Giants. You watch him for 3 games, and then you never see him again. So maybe there's something there. But man, the free agent decisions that Farhan has made, not exactly paying out early, and there's a lot of baseball left. All these storylines can change dramatically still. There's plenty of baseball left. But, just looking at Farhan's big decisions, and all the Giants are, and this is not hyperbole, this is not an exaggeration, all the Giants are is coming off the single most embarrassing offseason in the history of their franchise. Aaron Judge was an illusion that they tried to sell to you. They probably never have a chance, but they told you there was no dollar amount that would stand between them and Aaron Judge. Obviously, that didn't happen. And then the whole Carlos Correa fiasco, whether it's good that he didn't land up on the team or not, the amount of embarrassment that the Giants really had to wear. I mean, he's sitting in a hotel room ready to be limoed to his press conference before he found out, yeah, you flunked your physical, it ain't going to happen. That's just a bad look for Farhan, whose reputation is just becoming the opposite of a player's general manager. Again, he stiffed Brandon Belt on the way out the door. He treats agents, free agents, current players in just this weird, icy way where, he'll tell you he's going to get back to you soon and then just straight up ghosts you like a date, doesn't call back. I've heard that from several credible sources. Farhan is a little bit of an egghead who doesn't sit around talking to people, making anyone feel warm and fuzzy. And then, of course, you got, the manager and Gabe Kapler, who everyone thinks is, a little bit of a weirdo. But, who cares? I mean, if there's a level of success there, who cares if the GM is a nice guy or a good guy or a relatable guy, or if your manager is sort of a weirdo or not? If you're getting results, results are all that matter. Well, the results of the free agent decisions that Farhan made in this postseason, or in the offseason, like the early returns are not very good. Just starting with the two big pitching ads, right? You got Sean Manaea, who made 6 starts, and he's got an ERA close to 8. It is 7.96. That is not very good right now. Oh, I'll get the baseball ticker going. Here you go. Boop. That'll tell you what's going on tonight. Zach Wheeler, former prospect in town, taking on the Giants tonight. Alex Cobb, by the way, is the probably best story on the Giants this year, and probably the only guy who's like really deserving of an all-star consideration. Just looking at what he's done so far, he's pitching some of the best baseball of his life. Ross Stripling is not, though. Ross Stripling has made only 4 starts. He's got an ERA north of 7. Michael Conforto, there's a guy who's going to come on in here and hit some home runs, and you know what? He does lead the team with 8 home runs, but right now he is hitting .205. Manaea, Stripling, and Conforto all have player options. So there's no amount, and I'm not saying that Conforto stinks, but Manaea and Stripling are bordering on unplayable, and they all have player options for next year. When the only time a player turns down a player option is when they had something to take to market. Right now, the guys, the only thing they can take to market is a level of embarrassment. So, Taylor Rogers, right? Well, they picked up Taylor Rogers. He's made 16 appearances. He's got 2 losses, 1 save, and an ERA of 5.11. Not good. Not a disaster, but, there's still a lot that he needs to prove that he belongs. Mitch Haniger, who is a player that I thought, okay, that's a good signing, but it's going to be a risk because up in Seattle, he was always hurt. Well, guess what? Mitch Haniger is always hurt. He's only had 60 at-bats, and he's hitting 183 with 2 home runs. So, all of the big brainiac decisions that Farhan made are kind of coming up a little short. They seriously are, and they're a half game ahead of the last place Rockies right now. There's 121 games left, lots of baseball still in front of them, but the amount of nothing special that is wafting off this team, you can smell it just like this delicious Phil's coffee that I'm drinking out of my very nice blackened, what is this? What do they call them? Thermos? Cup? Yeah, I guess it's a thermos. No, a thermos, I guess, has to have a lid on it. Like, I wouldn't put soup in this. It's not a thermos. It's a mug. It's a travel mug. It's nice. I like it. It's a Yeti. That's what I was trying to say. The Yeti. Look at that. That's good coffee. So I always made the promise to you, we're not going to waste your time when we don't have a lot of stuff to get into today. And really, we're not going to keep you much longer because we're going to end with what I'm, calling bad news. You do got to worry about, don't got to worry about it. But here we are. Screw John Fisher. I believe it's pronounced fuck John Fisher. I hope his Vegas stadium runs over budget to the point where it costs twice as much as they're planning, and then it burns down the day before it opens. Like, that's how much I'm rooting against him having success in any way humanly possible. ESPN had the story, came up on Monday, that the A's have indeed reached an agreement with Bally's to build a stadium on the Tropicana Hotel site, right on the Vegas Strip. Bally's Corp made the announcement again, a 30,000-seat stadium on a 35-acre parcel of land. The project is expected to cost about $1.5 billion, and the A's are asking for nearly $400 million in public support from the Nevada legislature, which could vote on a proposal this week. I hope they turn it down and say, you know what? We do want a baseball team. We just don't want that one, and we don't want to do business with John Fisher, who is a bad faith actor, and we can prove that implicitly. Because remember, as I told you yesterday, for half a decade, longer, the A's have always said to have any sort of success, we need a real estate project that is much more than just a baseball stadium built around a baseball stadium. If at any point in time Howard Terminal was just a place for a baseball stadium, not trying to build Abu Dhabi around it and have a $12 billion construction price tag, it would have been done by now. It could have gotten done by now. If John Fisher in Oakland only just said, I'm here to build a new baseball stadium, that baseball stadium would have been built by now. But no, he had to have more than that. And I really do believe that Howard Terminal situation, when you look at what he's about to agree to in Las Vegas, was designed to be a non-starting poison pill from the get-go. When you see what the real priority is to get to Las Vegas, a smaller media market, smaller revenue in terms of just media-sized television market. Although the A's, let's face it, have so reduced their ability to operate in this television market. I don't know if you can get smaller than that. They're promising nothing but sellouts to Vegas. Look, there aren't enough A's fans remaining to sell out. I don't think the A's are going to instantly capture the imagination of Las Vegas. But what Las Vegas will offer, which Oakland really won't, is a level of tourism and out-of-town ticket buyers. So much like the Raiders, should the A's go to Vegas, they'll never have a home field advantage ever again. Not that there isn't much one now. I mean, at least they got all that foul territory, which makes things a little different. It's not helping. The A's winning percentage, I think, is 209. I wrote it on the ticker. But it's the whole thing is disgusting. Every element of it is disgusting, and every word out of John Fisher and Dave Cavill's mouth about any legitimate chance to try to get things done in Oakland was a total lie. When you look at what they're settling on, John Fisher's not saying they're looking to build a hotel in Las Vegas. They're not looking to also have a casino. This is just a stadium. The non-starter, just a stadium in Oakland, is now what they're running towards. And they were going to spend $12 billion over here, but $1.5 billion to get a stadium built there. But they're still asking for that public handout. Like, dude, fuck you. I hope the budget and the overruns turn that into a $3 billion stadium when it's all said and done. And then the day before it's supposed to open, there's a grease fire because someone forgot to turn off the deep fryer, and the corn dogs burned the whole goddamn stadium down. Cannot root for that guy. Cannot root for that guy. Ever. I want to thank you so often rooting for yours truly. Let me give you a little subscriber count here because we are approaching a nice round number. We're at 5,396 subscribers. If 4 of you who are watching right now who are not subscribers become subscribers, that's going to be 5,400. Round numbers make me happy. I'd love to get to 5,500 by the end of the day. Do you think we can get 104 subscribers? Do you think you can tell a friend, tell somebody who really likes sports about Damon Bruce Plus today? Let's get us to 5,500 because then we get to 6 and then we keep on growing. That's how math works. I was explaining to Jack today that numbers go on forever. And he said, Dad, what do you mean? I said, well, give me the biggest number you could think of. He's 3 years old. He said 10. I'm like, well, you can always add one more. Numbers never end. So let's keep growing this bad boy. Hit that like button. Don't be shy. And make sure you're also following on the podcast. And you will get everything you need to know right here in a compact, streamlined, what you need sports broadcast that ain't looking to drag you through 4 hours of bullshit. We're just looking to give it to you. Just pull back the arrow. Boom. Hit the bullseye. Get yourself a little blackened whiskey to enjoy. Get yourself a delicious sandwich from Ike's. I know Jillian and I are going to be ordering a couple of sandwiches from Ike's as soon as this show ends. Might have to send some sexy sandwich pictures out later today. We're going to open up the doors of Club Plus. We're going to let everyone in, see what's going on, who's chit-chatting away. But for those listening on the podcast today, I say thank you so much for tuning in. And please do remember that sports don't build character, they reveal it. And like that, he's gone. Yeah. Where's my sign? Oh, no, it unplugged. I really should check this before the show starts, because now it's dark in here and I can't find the plug. Yeah, there it is. It's on this side. There we go. Boom! Technology. Look, we can even light up Ike's with the blackened sign. Look at that. Sponsors helping sponsors. Sponsors helping sponsors, baby. Woo! Again, welcome to the club, Ike. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Damon, do you think you should be sexualizing your sponsors? Absolutely. Absolutely, I do. All right. Where are we today here? A lot of F. John Fisher going on. Yeah, that always happens. This is R.I.P. Cougar Rebel saying, Damon, this is about what I expected from all of Farhan's signings. Look, I really do think that if Haniger could just get healthy, he could be something. Conforto's actually provided more power than I really expected, but he's got to get that average up. Look, it's just Mania and Stripling have just been awful. Mania had I might be awful sort of tendencies coming off of last season. Stripling did not. That's, to me, the biggest disappointment right now. That's the biggest disappointment. Let's take a look. Somebody's rooting for Mania. Let's go. Thank you, Vince. Now, unfortunately, Mania's not getting it done. And, I mean, what do you do? You got guys who are tough to keep running out there. Really tough to keep running out there. What do we got here? Someone's talking, Otis Bird III, talking about the Hooters at Fisherman's Wharf. Spent way too much time at the Honolulu location. Look at you. By the way, so True Blue Forever, what the hell are you doing at the Hooters in Honolulu? Like, go to the beach, dude, right? Go to the beach. No chain restaurants in Honolulu. By the way, there's only one Hawaiian island that I'm interested in going to. Kauai, baby. That's Hawaii. Kauai. That's Hawaii, in my opinion. If you like to go ahead and fund a need to send Jillian and I and the Plus to Hawaii, we'll do shows from Hawaii. I was talking to Jillian about I've always wanted to go to an Olympics, and I feel like we got to get to the Paris Olympics, right? Because the Paris Olympics are, Steve Kerr is going to be there. I know Steve. Yeah, how cool would it be, to go to an Olympics when you know the head coach of Team USA? That sounds like an opportunity. I mean, look, we can go ahead and we can write that whole bad boy off now, right? Dude, tickets for the opening ceremony are going for like $3,000 a pop. Like $3,000 a pop. That's it. We can't do that right now. We're going to have to sell a whole lot more blackened whiskey and Ike sandwiches in order to do that. Somebody says, Postman, not somebody special. The Postman in Capitola says, I disagree, D. Bruce. There was a ton of hype on Zion coming out of Duke. Unfortunately, he hasn't lived up to the hype. No, look, there was a lot of hype coming off, but he wasn't nearly the prospect. He was hyped as the clear number one overall that year, but no one said that Zion could be like a multiple generational level type of player. Everyone just thought he was a human highlight and a very special player, but there's never been anyone in the history of sports the size of Wembanyama with the skill set of Wembanyama. There's been a lot of big dudes who can dunk hard. So Zion was absolutely hyped. He was hyped because he had, a billion YouTube views when he had been in high school. Wembanyama is just, he's the size of the alien from the end of frickin' Close Encounters of the Third Kind coming down the damn ramp there. I don't know how a Hooters conversation broke out, but I'm glad it did. Maybe it's because I was playing with Ike's nipples. I don't know. I was scanning the wrong way here, so let's go the other way here. So this is a sentiment that I agree with. Baron Red, I want Dame to get into the postseason. I do too. Dame Lillard is one of those guys that I cannot help but love. I just love him. I love the way he plays. I love his loyalty, and I'd like to see his loyalty, sort of like me with radio, my loyalty to a dying place probably prevented me from reaching greater heights. I would love to see Dame Lillard be able to have his loyalty pay off. I'd love to see Portland really threaten for a championship. I'd love to see that. Wembanyama, it would be something else. It would be something else. Now, this is obviously a question that isn't based in reality because the Warriors have no chance of landing in the lottery. They're not in it. But how funny would it be if it was the Warriors to get Victor Wembanyama? All I can see is, Steve Kerr burying Victor Wembanyama on the bench to give Anthony Lamb and Ty Jerome minutes. There's my shot at Steve Kerr for the day. Again, I'm upset about the cost of going to the Paris Olympics. Oh, very nice. Damon, if you need a Heat breakdown, I'll give it to you. T from the 203, I'll give it to you too. Here's the Heat breakdown. It's Jimmy Butler and a group of guys who were basically picked up in the parking lot, and Tyler Hero, who's hurt. It's amazing. It's amazing what Eric Spoelstra has done with that team. And the Jimmy Buckets is a special player. Well, Lowry, obviously. But I appreciate it. Oh, T from the 203 says also, nice Cubs shirt, by the way. It's the old Cubs logo. It's the old Cubs arm patch logo. I love that logo. So thank you very much. You have outstanding taste. Yeah, look who's through. Joe Pavelski. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, Donskoy no longer on the Kraken, which is probably why it's over. It's over right now. Let's see. Lynn Kelly says, memo to self, must pick up a bottle from Blackened from Besmo as a birthday gift on my next grocery run. Absolutely, and Blackened is available at Bevmo. You're really going to like it. It is fantastic, fantastic whiskey. And I love the fact that when our listeners, my listeners, support one of my sponsors, either going to Ike's or going and picking up a bottle of Blackened, they share it with me on social media. I love that. The loyalty here is something else. Something else. Why are we concerned about stiffing Brandon Belt? Well, Mr. Bridge, the guy won world championships and was a career giant. And although he was mind-numbingly frustrating at times as a player, you don't disrespect guys who have meant as much to an organization as Brandon Belt did. How you treat people on the way in the door, on the way out of the door, it matters. I mean, sometimes business needs to end for whatever reason, But look, what you don't do is let a guy who, basically ran a radio station, built a radio station, and let him go on the phone. That was kind of a Farhani move, if you don't mind me saying. So, I don't know. This is a good question because I noticed it the other day too, Otis Bird III. Why is Kapler doing post-game interviews from the dugout instead of his office in the clubhouse? It's very strange. Well, there's also like an actual place where you can go do media in the park. I've seen this happen on the road. Is it happening at home too? Again, I'm not sticking around for a lot of Giants post or pregame these days. But, yeah. People are down on Minaya. Minaya, one of the most overrated stated pitchers player in baseball. Minaya trash. Look, I like him. I do. I want it to work, but man, he's just not getting it done. Yeah, thank God for Estrada. He's basically, the only consistent player that the Giants have right now. And look, maybe Casey Schmidt, the human Schmidthouse, becomes a real good player. And I do agree with Sporticus right here. He says Conforto's much better than 205. Yeah, he's going to get better. Again, there's 121 games left, but where we are right now is the only thing that I can talk about right now. So that's where we are. We got some disagreement about Minaya, saying after watching him with the A's all this year, he was only mediocre at best. Again, he had that one day where he threw his no-hitter. That definitely added to the legend of him, but he got roughed up the minute he became a Padre. The bloom sort of came off that rose, and yeah, it's just, again, there is, what do they keep on saying the slogan is this year? Giants baseball. There's nothing like it. No, there's a lot of mediocre baseball teams. There's an awful lot like the Giants out there. There is no doubt about that. Damon, this is what I expect about all of Farhan signings. Well, then that means, if you really do feel that way, that he's the wrong guy for the job, because it's year 6, kids. He's in year 6. So I don't know how much longer they can honestly stick around waiting for this guy's ideas and the prospects to work. I mean, there is a pipeline of dudes who are supposed to be here by now who are having trouble in the minor leagues. Cough, cough. Here's a legitimate question from Baron Red. Who's going to watch baseball in Vegas when you have hookers and blow? No follow-ups. No notes. It's a very legitimate question. Look, who is going to want to go watch A's baseball? When the Yankees are in town, obviously that'll be a big draw. But baseball's an outdoor sport, and Vegas is an indoor town. And they're going to put a dome over that thing, and yeah, here we go. Hashtags. Burn it down. Very good question here. Very good question from Clarisard 49. Clarisard 49. Will the possums be relocated too? Do possums do well in the desert? Are there desert possums? I don't know. Rick Sandoval, thank you very much. You go ahead. You hit that like button. Thank you, Plusers. You go ahead. Thank you very much. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. A lot of people in agreement with my position on John Fisher. Again, because when you see a con man conning, don't think the con is going to stop. Don't think the con is going to stop. He will get his stadium in Las Vegas and then do nothing to put a good team on that field. Jingle jangle. True blue forever. 5 bones. Thank you very much. Oh, agreement. What do we got here? Adrian. As someone who's been to all the Hawaiian islands, I will say Kauai is nice but too small. The correct answer is Maui. You can thank me later. Again, I like how small it is because you can get to every part of the island. It's just a reverse sea, and then you got the Nepali coast. It's the most gorgeous thing I've ever seen. It's like skyscrapers coming up right out of the ocean. It's incredible. I like the fact that the island is tiny. That to me is a value add, not a value subtraction. Zion was supposed to be a more athletic Barkley. He can't even stay healthy, though. I mean, that's the problem. And it stinks. It stinks that happened. Because, again, New Orleans is a town that I'm always rooting for. I love New Orleans. I think that they would really respond to a good basketball team, but rarely do they have one. I mean, they're decent. They got some interesting pieces. They really do. They got interesting pieces. A couple of final things here. Mr. Bridge. Damon, I get what you're saying, but how many times I've heard you mention the cruelty of sports? Belichick letting go a year too early. Member berries go sour. They do. They do. Sports can be cruel. There's no doubt about it, but that's what it's all about. Sometimes you got to move on early. And, I don't even know what we were talking about that made you think about Bill Belichick. Here's one guy I'm never going to feel bad for. Bill Belichick. Otis Bird III confirming Kapler does post-game interviews from the dugout at home too. That's weird. It's weird. I don't know. Maybe he thinks he looks better. Succession reference here. Stacy, thank you. Conheads. Yeah, those conheads. 1% in Alaska. I mean, they're a big turnout for Connor Roy up in Alaska. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. New Orleans is a great, great city to visit. It's one of the best. I mean, if you like food, if you like great old hotels, and if you like bars, it's fantastic. The music, too. One of the things I was talking about with my boy GQ, who's over here sipping some blackened whiskey with me, he just got back from a barbecue trip in Kansas City with his dad. Spent a little time in St. Louis, too. Hung out with my buddy Ackerman. But Kansas City, great American city to visit. Everything is at a price point that is incredibly approachable. Good food, good sports, good hotels, a lot of history, good museums. Just don't ask Glenn Kuiper about them. It's a great town that's really priced well. You know what? Another town I think qualifies for that too is Memphis. I haven't been to Memphis in a long enough time to totally come out and endorse it emphatically. But I had such a good time in Memphis when I was a broke-ass kid in college. I thought, I come back here with actual money. You can just tear this town apart. Scott Burns says, Maui is so over-commercialized these days. Kauai is awesome. Get a Lappert's Blue Mukua coffee out there? Okay. See, here's the thing. I mean, I'm not going to crap on any Hawaiian island. I've never been to Maui. Jillian's been to Maui. She really likes it, too. If you're a surfer, I know Maui is like sacred territory for a lot of people. But, man, Kauai is just my spot. Again, if you told me, Damon, you're allowed to go to one island forever for the rest of your life, what's it going to be? It's going to be Kauai. Oop, hey, by the way, 3 subscribers short of 1,000. Get it done. Get it done. I want to thank all of you for tuning in today. It means so much. I appreciate it. Look at Jillian here now. We should go to Maui, honey. Thank you. We should go to Maui, honey. I appreciate that, Jillian. If you're willing to pay for the entire trip, we'll go tomorrow. Because right now, we're over here just trying to raise money for a new Plus sign. And some nipple clamps for Ike. Ooh! Thank you so much for tuning in today. And please do remember that you don't have to go home, kids. But Club Plus is closed, which means you can't stay here.